Hello, Radhika. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to get back together. I am Dr. Devsena Desai from Kaveri Gifted Education and Research Center, Pune. Radhika has been a parent, uh, is a parent with us, and we've had several discussions talking about how she went about working with her son on all the milestones that he's been crossing in, be it academics, be it challenges at home, being finding partners to play with to keep him meaningfully occupied. So today I really was keen to understand from you, when did it really start? Because we all think when the child is born, he's just like any other child. But when did that realization, or when you kind of got to understand completely that my son is gifted or has higher ability than other children of his age?
Hi, Devsena. Thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be on this platform again and sharing the thoughts. And certainly, you have played an important part in terms of in my journey as well. So, when you ask me when did it all begin, uh, as a child and as a little baby, my son was always very curious. I could sense that he wanted to know what is happening, and there were many instances which as a parent you just felt very proud, because the least you look for is, okay, are the growth milestones happening or not, and whether physically he is developing or not. And of course, intellectually, I could sense that even as a 30-day-old child, he could understand whatever I was speaking to him. It was just a mother's instinct that made me realize that he was understanding, not just I am talking to some little baby. But it never
How did
made
that
me
happen? I
keep.
mean, I'm curious. When you say 30 months, parents will be like, Arey, how? I know because I've heard other mothers also share. How do you really know that the child is understanding? What was it when you looked at the baby, you felt that the child and you were connected?
Yeah, so the most vivid memory that I have is that when he was not latching and taking mother's milk for a long time, and it was almost 40 days since he was born. And it was bothering me a lot because he would comfortably take the milk from the bottle, which meant that I would keep expressing and give it through the bottle. And it was very painful when I used to hear from other mothers there that, oh, that's never an issue. It's not at all a problem for me. And I kept wondering, what is it that is wrong? Where is it going? So actually, one day I just lifted him and told him actually that, listen, I know you like to drink from that bottle. It's probably very easy for you. But you know what? It's mother's milk which is the best for you. And you should make an attempt to try. Maybe it will all happen. It's just that you have not tried enough. And why don't you just push it? Otherwise, you always have a choice. I will not make you go hungry. So you have a choice to have the, formula feed or mother's milk. That's your choice. But I would be happy if you make this choice. I just said it because I was in that mood where I was totally frustrated and I didn't know what else to do. And it was like a magic. The next day I took him and he just latched on, and it was like, nothing ever happened, and there was no problem in him learning to latch and have the milk. So certainly it was something I couldn't even share with anyone because no one was to believe me that, yes, a 30, 40-day-old baby is going to understand you. But that was like a spark for me to be aware and be alert that, yes, this boy is a boy who is going to make his choices.
Okay, that's
It's
interesting.
not something that I am going to tell him and he is going to do it. It's something that I have to give him the option, and maybe he makes the choice and then he feels good about his choices. And I just made a note of it, and I kept, trying it out at different scenarios as he kept growing. Sometimes I would just be a little pushy, telling, no, I am telling you so, you should do it, and there would be a rebel. But the moment I would keep giving him options, including food, do you want carrot or do you want apple? You make a choice. And when he made a choice, I had no issues in terms of him feeding him again. So these were all signs which I experienced, and I felt, oh my God, I am kind of, I cracked the code kind of a thing. But as you move forward, but I really didn't know, there was no reference point for me to say whether this is how children are brought up. It was just intuitive for me. And as we moved forward, right from the time 11 months, 12 months, he would just pick up things. Anything I would try to explain to him, he would just grasp it very fast and reproduce it and show me in actions or in, you know, small little blabbers saying that, okay, I have understood. And the best thing was he never had that baby talks at any point of time. He directly went from, um, very one words, two words to sentences, proper sentences. So again, we all felt, wow, this is something good. We are all kind of, we don't have to make an effort in terms of, teaching him. And very, very strangely, he picked up English very fast. Not even that we speak two languages minimum at home, but he picked up English like it was his mother tongue. But he picked it up. But we never stopped him. We said it's fine, it's okay. He has chosen it. Let it be. Yeah, so those were the times, and the real time when I really had to make an effort to find if this was giftedness or not was when he joined school. And then there were a lot of challenges he had to face with peers as well as with teachers. That's when when the so after that too, almost he was 8. That's when we reached a point where there was a lot of challenge with the school, because everything seemed okay with, from my point of view. However, school did not accept that this was normal.
That
School
must be a
kept,
very difficult time for you people, because
yeah,
normally
it
expect the child is excited because he's going to school, he's meeting people, he's learning new things, and along with that, teachers are also eager to interact with the child. But when it is a child with higher ability and the child speaks a little more or knows a little more, then we face challenges in school.
indeed, because he would actually question the teachers as to what is right and what is wrong, and when something is right, how you actually practice it. He would be like one watchguard to say, if the teacher tells you it's unhealthy to drink Coke and he notices her drinking a Coca-Cola in the canteen, he will not stop and but go and tell her, Miss, you told me it is not good for me to drink. Why are you drinking? So that
Such a
some
typical
teachers,
characteristics, no? Because what we've read and understand is that moral and ethical accountability is so high, and they can question authority, and it doesn't make anything. They just go straight, and they are able to bluntly say what they have to say. Yeah.
absolutely. So that was something which we as parents felt, okay, we are also like that. We don't hesitate to question anyone, because that's an open culture we have in our family, whether it is parents, whether it is in-laws. We have always had a very open discussion with each other, even if we didn't like some activity or behavior or thoughts or words which are said. We actually share and say that, what what you said, we felt hurt or we didn't like it. Probably yes, in a more polished way than what a child would say. But indeed, it's a trait which we felt that as parents is something picked up from home and from how most of us behave at home. But that was not accepted well with the school. And that's when a lot of tagging started happening, about labeling started happening, about whether he was having a ADHD, whether he was autistic. And every time I would come back and have a conversation with him at home, I would look at his ability to play Lego, contribute in terms of his, mental mathematical abilities, understanding the world, understanding, complicated concepts. I think there is something wrong, the way they are considering and the way I see, there is certainly it is not something which is, it's not something right. There is something which is wrong somewhere, and which is when I literally I would go out to read a lot about what does it mean to be higher, gifted or higher ability. And believe me, it was not easy to accept it, not just for me, even from my family perspective, because
The
we all
parents
come
don't
from
feel
a,
excited or what? Because normally everybody's excited. Oh, my child is gifted, or my child has a higher ability. That's something that is a lot of parents be very happy about.
yeah, it is normally that's how it is. But you know what, when you don't know what you're entering, and
Yeah.
when you don't know what it means, and when inherently you are brought up to believe in yourself that you be humble, be, don't do over the, don't be a boasting person, don't. So I guess somewhere all those beliefs and the messages we have received from our parents stayed.
Hmm.
And honestly, in this journey, I have been the one who has been more assertive to take the step forward to say that no, something has to be done, because I could relate a lot of my childhood with his childhood
Okay.
in terms of having similar issues, like dealing with authority, dealing with peer group, having challenges in terms of any questioning and being that moral accountability.
Hmm.
So these all factors, definitely, and of course the curiosity,
Hmm.
so
Very big
factor.
part.
So the curiosity, so I could very well relate that, okay, probably he is undergoing a very similar journey like I went through. I had a lot of interest and I had a lot of passion to do in various things, but unfortunately, fortunately, it was never something which was put to a test to see whether it was something, uh, you know higher ability or not, or whatever. But as a child, I used to feel very frustrated in being in the box of a school,
Hmm.
and I wanted to break free. But even in a society, I never had an opportunity to break free and learn. So you just grow up, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I specifically want to ask you, how did you go about giving the kind of resources? You live in Mumbai. I know there are plenty of resources, but still, in today's time, if you talk about books, toys, people, connections, there are plenty. But how do you choose what is right for you and how to make? Because I find a lot of parents struggling. uh, okay, if you talk about math ability, now we're still talking academics, even if it is art form or something. How do you know this is the perfect match for my child?
So I'll give you a quick, short example here. I think that will help understand. The most important thing is to understand what is it that your child really enjoys doing.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point of time, and this is something I've noticed, okay, there is a peak and a valley.
Hmm.
They are completely involved in something for a certain duration of time, and when they reach a peak and then they just drop it.
Yeah.
It's like never existed. Now I am not interested in it, right? So there was a time when he was too much into football, lot into football. He would keep all the track of the statistics, the players, the different locations, uh, the size of the stadium,
Wow.
the kind of
All the trivia, basically.
everything, every trivia, everything was so. But it was challenging for me to inculcate the studies which they were doing in school and make him do that work. So this was something very self-generated. Of course, it was not something. It was just, as I said, it was that intuitiveness. I just picked up. Okay, it's football, right? Let's use science in football.
Okay.
Let's use chemistry with football. Let's use geography with football. Go and find out where does Messi live. We figure out which is that country he is living. What is the type of culture they follow? What is the type of language they do? What is the kind of food they eat, and so on and so forth. So it became very, very engaging and interesting for him, because it was something which was very close to his heart and he was doing. Today I find a lot of children being involved with video games.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Many children who are gifted are involved in video game. I would say use that as a tool. It's like knife. You can
Actually,
use it to
right now
cut
it's
an
becoming,
apple.
yeah, it's become like a addiction because a lot of them are not able to. And today with pandemic, though, parents are so exasperated. They just say, okay, as long as
Yeah, but the only challenge now, Devsena, here we have to go their route. I learned football because of him. It's not some sport I have ever enjoyed.
yeah, the perils of being a parent.
Or I would say you expanded your knowledge.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah, so
how did
it's
that happen in terms of chemistry and all that? Because talking about it is one, but ensuring that it is meeting your class or subject requirements. How did you go about it?
so this was, of course, the challenge is more when they are at a very young age. So the kind of like, for example, you know what happens in a ball when you put air inside, when you remove the air outside. Why does the air stay inside and not outside? Everywhere you have the air, but the ball becomes very hard. What is it makes it to become hard? So those are the factors you kind of make it. Then you ask that question, then they start thinking. Then they go and find out because they relate to that space. So
Mhm.
similarly, if a video game is something they're into, you have to start playing the game yourself.
My God, okay.
It is not easy, but I must tell you, it's a very fun journey.
Okay. You're smiling now. I know that couple of times when you came and saying, I don't know what to do, how do we go about this? Um, what are the practices at home? You know, in today's scenario, academics is all very set. We have excellent schools, we have resources, we have online resources, we have people abroad, cousins, aunts, uncles who give us stuff, or even we can buy things online in terms of courses for the children. But these are all external forces. What is it at home that helps a child who has so much of curiosity and learning? How do you keep them really grounded and able to relate to things that is happening around him or her, instead of, because many times parents are saying that this child becomes a know-all or a scholar. You're a little worried, okay? He's going to shun others. So how do we really work on that?
That's a very pertinent question, Devsana. There are two factors I would like to address here. Yes, you mentioned it right that there were times when I have come to you feeling very unsure about how do I take things forward, and having and feeling very uncertain about the future, and also not being, you know, because there is no reference point.
Absolutely.
Your friend mother is not going to help you in any way. So one is the biggest challenge uh, my son has actually faced is emotional balance,
Hmm.
and understanding people and understanding psychology, or and enabling to know, literally at one point I had to teach him that if,
Empathy, you mean, you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, exactly. So empathy was something which was difficult. It was not that he was not compassionate, he just didn't know what to do, how to behave in a particular manner. So honestly, for that I had to skill myself with managing my emotions,
Okay.
understanding my own self, because that gave me the power to guide him the right direction. And we
How
also
how do
have
you, what do you mean by saying understand your emotions and therefore help it? Can you just share an incident or an example?
sure. So initially, I used to get very worked up when, teachers would give a complaint, when his work was not up to the mark, when he would just get up from the he would finish his work and get up from the seat and just walk around for a while and come back and sit in the
Incident.
classroom. The teachers, initially first standard, second standard, they didn't say anything,
Mind
but
it
then
much.
they didn't mind it. But third and fourth, they just got very worked up. And the challenge was, despite explaining my situation, it was not something they could gather and understand. Because they said, oh, we can't make an exception for one child.
Mm.
Everybody will get up. So that was
Mm.
not so. So these were all the challenges. So it made me very sad and upset. And uh, how do you communicate it to him? And the more I was sad, the more he would react. The more I was off balance, the more he was off balance. So that's when, my own learnings through spirituality came to my help.
Okay.
That my expectation probably was set at a very different level compared to what he can offer. And I am focusing on the wrong areas. Instead of focusing on his strengths, I'm constantly focusing on his weaknesses. This dawned on me, and of course, as urban middle class South Indian families, we are always brought up with a lot of, focus on prayers and meditation, mindfulness. Today we call it mindfulness, but back
Yeah,
in those days,
you're
for
right.
me, we would only say Bhagwan ka naam lo whenever you're in trouble, and not that it was a very logical thing for these kids to learn, but just made it a practice that, you know even if it is 10 chanting, do it, because I know that it helped me, and so I know that it will help him, because it's all about channelizing your energies into a certain fashion and enabling you to think more rationally. Actually, we feel that chanting is not rational, but it's actually a way to rationalize your own thoughts.
Mm.
It's not a it ensures that you are not diverse and like a scatterbrain all over the place, and it helps you to build more focus. So yeah, so and it and the gifted child will question me, why why should I do this? Because they are high energy people, right? So they can't
Absolutely.
sit in one place. So I modified it to suit his needs. Okay, you run 10 times and chant it 10 times. It's fine with me, but just see that first thing is to make a habit of
Mm.
saying it, then it is about refining it
Okay.
and break it into small pieces. Okay, don't do this, don't do that, just do only this much portion. So this was helping. So he would take 10 rounds of the ground and come back, and I would say 10 rounds mein ek baar hi bolna hai bas. So that one thing, you start setting it in place slowly, slowly, slowly. One, if you do one thing once, you can always make one thing twice.
Smart.
And they are fantastic negotiators.
Oh, yes, I know that.
So use it to your advantage, but be in a manner that they are making the choice. The always that was the backbone for me. I would say this, but it is your choice.
I think you kind of understood where many times parents use control and say, you do it the way I want to. But especially with gifted kids, if you don't want to be in a challenging or challenged position, best is to give them those two options and allow them to make a decision, which makes them feel accountable. And also, because they're highly accountable, they are highly responsible. They do take it very seriously and do follow it, basically.
Yeah, and one last thing is allow them to fail. It's fine.
You're saying it so casually, but I know how much pain it is to see that when they fail and they come back. How do you really work on it? Because I know they don't take failure easily. So, how do you go about it?
But Devsana, that's life, right? We all fail. We all go through our life journey. We all have
Because
our
they're able to
stories.
kind of understand or be in the position of accepting. But how do you tell a 6 year old, 8 year old, a 14-year-old, you know?
Yeah, it's important that they know that they are not the only person in the world to
Uh,
win at all time, and winning is not the most important factor. The process is important, and there can be always somebody who can be better than you. So of course biographies help.
okay.
Talking about inspiring people help, because everyone who has been in an extraordinary zone have reached there only through failures. they've
Absolutely.
not they have not reached there through winning every game.
Yeah, that's right. One last question I'd like to ask. Today, when you look back, what choice was the most toughest and what is fun and bonding with your son? How old is he right now?
Oh, he is 13 now.
He's 13. Okay.
Yeah. The toughest was to actually have this conversation with my husband.
Okay.
more than him, because somewhere there was, it's like we are all trained to believe that whatever the school says is like patthar pe lakhir. So when you want to say anything against or have a thought process which is different from what the school is trying to say, it gets challenged very often. But and you don't have any proof of certain things because you only feel intuitively.
Absolutely.
And there is always that question that, oh, you are being emotionally attached, so you are not able to view things objectively.
Mm.
So that was the biggest challenge that I had to break, because now I had to, of course, in the journey of a child, it is the mother and the father both have to get equally participated and involved in the process. So when both of us have different views, it became onus on me to go and find proof.
Okay.
Now, when you have a result, then that becomes a bigger proof. But for me, I don't need the result. I knew it.
Okay. And what is the bonding and the loving factor with your son?
His stories, the
Mm-hmm.
way he will read about the whole world and come and give me the summary of what he has to say and his opinion about what different leaders in the world should do
Okay.
and how can we make the world a better place than what we are. So I said, you are the future. You have everything in your hand to make it better than what we are going to leave it.
Fantastic. I'd really love for us to continue this conversation. I'm going to connect with you once again. You have given really very important perspectives of parenting, which many of us and a lot of parents are looking forward to. Now, when your son is 13, you've already crossed a couple of hurdles, which others may not have or are still seeking. And this will really help us, to share with them and for them to take their journey and share their stories as well. So, thank you once again for sharing it so much with us, with such examples, which really connects into telling us not just the joys of parenting, but also the challenges that happens. But behind all these challenges, there is always this learning that helps you to keep connected with the child and keep bonding with them. And like you rightly said, I really like that statement, is they are the future and we need to invest that time with them. And if we have fine minds, why not tune them, right? So thank you so much. And I look forward to us having a session two again. Yeah. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much.